Kendra. Here at Happenstance Place, life is handmade, including all of the food that we eat. Today is the Super Bowl, and we wanted pizza, as we have every year for the Super Bowl. But living rurally, there's no takeout, so we make our own. But I am not the pizza maker in our family. My hubby Steve is. So Steve is going to walk you through how we make our pizza. I think we're making pork chop pizza today, right?
I thought you said they were ham steaks.
I guess they're ham steaks. We're making pork pizza. If you want to see more of how we eat and how we live, you can go ahead and subscribe down below where I daily vlog. And during the month of February, make sure you check back every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday evening, sometimes very, very late, when a Feed Your Face February video will be posted.
The pizza crust I'm going to be making is out of the Better Homes and Garden Cookbook. It says it's new. I am fairly certain that this one is not very new. Flour is very estimated in this recipe. So I usually just kind of put a heaping cup of flour in, and then a little bit more to start. 2 1/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast. It says do a cup of warm water, so I usually heat it in the microwave for about a minute. 2 tablespoons of, I use vegetable oil. It says you can use olive oil as well, which I have done before and it's worked fine. Go for a minute, and it says to scrape the bowl, and you can kind of see the dry stuff around the edges that needs to get mixed in still. I have to bake it in the oven at 425, so I usually turn it on about now. Then after it's gone for 30 seconds, it says to beat it on high for 3 minutes, and I usually set a timer for that, so I actually know I went long enough. Add the rest of the flour, which is going to be at least 1.5 cups to up to 2 cups. I usually start by leaving it on low there. I don't dump it in all at once, but I don't go all that slow either. You can kind of tell at the bottom of the mixer as the hook's going around, the dough will still stick to the bottom of the bowl if you haven't put enough flour in yet. And when you have put enough in, it almost starts to flake a little bit. Not all of it absorbs at once. Comes out still a little sticky on my finger, so it needs just a little more flour. It's getting pretty close. It should be more the way it should. When it's sticky, it'll stick between the beater and the bowl, and then once it gets to where it should be, you can kind of see all of the dough flopping around in the bowl because it doesn't stick to anything. There is our ball of dough. Okay, so I have this part of the counter over here set to roll it out on. Usually like to kind of push as much of it as I can with my hands and fists first. It's very stretchy and springy to work with versus cookie dough when you get to just put it on there, and as soon as you push it, it stays where you want it. rather than rolling it, you're almost more stretching it. So you kind of have to push a chunk of it over and watch it stretch out. I flip it over just to work both sides of it. I have my pizza stone that I make sure I'm making it big enough. It wasn't there yet. Kind of knew that. Make sure I make it a little bigger than the pan. That way there's a little extra to roll up and make the outside crust with. Since it's on a flat pizza stone rather than in a pizza pan that has a little lip. I usually have to fold it. Less so that it'll break and more so that it's just too big for me to pick up. And I unfold it back out on the stone. As centered as I can. And then I just start rolling up the crust a little. Give it a little bit of a lip so that it'll hold all that yummy goodness on top of it. There's a spot where I didn't quite get it all the way out to, so I just steal a little from a spot that I made too big. Try and roll it together. It never turns out all that perfect anyway, so I just make it as good as I can. Then I use a fork to poke some holes in it. Otherwise it might rise up a little bit while it's in the oven. And then it's ready to go in the oven. You put it in and cook the crust a bit first, and then you take it back out and put the toppings on. It says for this one it goes in for 12 minutes. So we love onion, so we put a whole one on the pizza. If you are an average onion lover, I would probably suggest about half an onion. And if you're a normal person, you might only want to put a quarter of an onion on if you were to make a pizza. And we lived somewhere where it was a lot easier to get good fresh produce. We also used to put mushrooms on this type of pizza. So ham, onions, pineapple, and mushrooms is an excellent combination. You can also add garlic. It can be pretty darn tasty. Let's drain the juice out, and then I'm actually not going to use quite this whole can because days here I'm going to make some grandma jello. And we'll need the pineapple for that. Use a can of our home canned tomato paste, which is really just tomatoes cooked down. All really tomato paste is, but ours probably is not cooked down quite as much as commercial tomato paste. So if you were going to do yours, you'd probably want to dilute it some if you were using a commercial can of tomato paste.
Or use tomato sauce.
Or use tomato sauce.
And tomato sauce about
Spread it around real good. When you're topping your pizza, your natural inclination is to put everything in the middle. You always need to make sure, or I always have to make sure that I spread it all around and not just in the middle. And we like to top ours with the ingredients under the cheese. Also with the topping, all your cuts will intersect in the middle when you cut the pizza up. And so if you heavily top the middle, it makes it hard to cut through there and they don't fall off. That's another reason I try and spread them out to the crust a little more. Started making this pizza back in December of '06. We did it, my family's tradition was to have pizza, go out for pizza on Christmas Eve. And there was a pizza place not too far from us where we lived at the time, well, when we were living at the resort. But we weren't really able to leave because we had to be there in case the phone rang, because we were working that night. And so we decided we would make a pizza. And we've been using that pizza crust recipe ever since. I always do my best to spread the toppings out, but if you ever have trouble, you just note where it is and you make sure to serve yourself the part that has all the good toppings on it. It's very important to sample your cheese. You need to know exactly what you're putting on your pizza. Okay, and then we put our herbs on top of everything else. I do a little salt. And a little pepper. Really like to put rosemary. This is some of our dried rosemary from out in our garden. Smush it up as much as I can with my fingers. Little bit of basil. I don't usually do too much on the pizza. Again, this comes dried out of our garden. And you can't have a pizza without the quote-unquote pizza herb, which is oregano. Finally have my oregano good and established out in the garden. When we first moved out here, I didn't realize it was a perennial. And so I, number one, I wouldn't buy it because it was so expensive, thinking that it was a waste to spend that money on 1 year's worth of plant. And then the 1 year I was able to grow some from seed, I pulled it all out at the end of the year because I didn't know. Now I know it'll be in its 3rd year this year, which is the magic year for when you've transplanted a plant. Pop it back in the oven. It says for another 10 to 15 minutes. There it is before it goes in. And I'll do my best to not drop it on the oven door, as has been done before. It's not done. It needs a few more minutes. If it is done this time, looks a little more to my liking. Nice and brown around the crust. And we will call that done. We had a slight battery issue, so we couldn't show it coming out of the oven. But there is the done pizza. Yum.